التوفيق after Salah and after the class, inshallah. After the class. Umair, after the class you can play, inshallah. الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا متقبلا يا أرحم الراحمين. We continue by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessings in these reflections on the lives of the Sahaba, the best people after the Prophets alayhim salatu wassalam. And we continue with Sayyiduna Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, the second Khalifa, the second Caliph. And I would like to start with an ayah, the second last ayah in Surah Al-Anfal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَهَاجَرُوا وَجَاهَدُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَالَّذِينَ آوَوا وَنَصَرُوا أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ حَقًّا لَهُمْ مَغْفِرَةٌ وَرِزْقٌ كَرِيمٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in this second last ayah of Surah Al-Anfal, and those who believed and وَجَاهَدُوا, and those who struggled, those who did jihad. And jihad is not necessarily the jihad of the battles or the fights. Not at all. 13 years in Mecca, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his Sahaba, they were doing the greatest jihad, which is jihad of showing patience, jihad of da'wah, calling others to Allah, jihad of struggle, jihad of controlling oneself and controlling one's desires, jihadul nafs. That is the greatest jihad, as the scholars agree. So that was the jihad they were doing in the beginning. Then, of course, they did the jihad of battles, defending their homeland, defending their state, defending themselves. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَجَاهَدُوا وَهَاجَرُوا وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَهَاجَرُوا وَجَاهَدُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Those who believed, then they migrated so that they keep their religion, they protect their religion, and they struggled for the sake of Allah. This meant, or this is the ones who are meant in this part of the ayah are the migrants and muhajirin. Then he said subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَالَّذِينَ آوَوا وَنَصَرُوا, and those who welcomed them and supported them. That's Al-Ansar, the people of Al-Madinah. These two groups, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ حَقًّا. Those are the true believers. لَهُمْ مَغْفِرَةٌ وَرِزْقٌ كَرِيمٌ. They will have forgiveness and generous sustenance and reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying these are the true believers, this is why we're learning about their blessed lives. This is why we have to learn about their lives. Because we all say we are believers, alhamdulillah. But did we achieve the true iman? Did we reach the level of the true believers? These are the true believers that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us they will have the rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why we have to learn about them. We have to follow their footsteps. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower them with His blessings. So Sayyiduna Umar, obviously, radiallahu anhu, one of those great ones who struggled and migrated and did a lot of jihad, radiallahu anhu ardah. And he took over the Muslim Ummah by the nomination of Sayyiduna Abu Bakr, as we mentioned earlier. And we mentioned in the time of Sayyiduna Umar, the Muslim state, it was expanded a lot. And this is why he needed to start so many new things, radiallahu anhu ardah. And this is where we stopped at, which is the things that Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu was the first one to do in the Muslim state. And some of these things in history, he was the first one to start them, radiallahu anhu ardah. We will finish with this topic, inshallah. Then next time we will start talking about the conquests of Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu, then his statements and his qada and some other things to wrap up the life of this great Sahabi. One of the things that he was the first one to start was the masabih, that he was the first one to put the lamps in the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Sayyiduna Ali radiallahu anhu, when he one day entered the masjid and he saw that it's mashallah full of lights and illuminated, he said, نور الله مضجعك يا ابن الخطاب كما نورت مسجدنا. May Allah illuminate your grave, O son of Al-Khattab, just as you illuminated our masjid. And now in the new building of Kari Masjid also, we're now in the process of also putting the electricity and the lights. So this is a chance for us also to follow the footsteps of Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu and contribute to this, especially if someone contributes to the main wiring and main things that will last for long years and long years, inshallah. So whenever someone enters the masjid, whenever someone is benefiting from this light, you're getting rewards. So this is sadaqah jariyah, consistent charity for you. So try and encourage others, inshallah, to participate in this also great charity that we have the chance for, and you don't have the chance every time to contribute to the building of a masjid. Also, he radiallahu anhu, as we mentioned, he organized the army. He had records for the army, and he had like administration or like a small ministry, if you will, and specified their salaries. And also he did something very nice: the duration of time that the mujahid can stay in the war, in the battlefield, on the borders, defending the Muslim state. He put a time that the struggler, the mujahid, should not remain more. He has the right to go back, to take a vacation, so that he goes and see his family. So he was the one who put this, radiallahu anhu Allah. He made 3 months or 4 months as a maximum stay for the mujahid. Then he has the right to go back to his family and see them for a vacation. He also established the house of daqiq, which is wheat, means they call it now the ministry of, in our country they call it tamween, which is the ministry of like food, especially the types of foods that are, what do they call it, strategic, like wheat. Wheat is a strategic crop, right? A strategic crop. Like in Syria, we had one of the biggest reserves of wheat, and so this gives a big strength to the country, that they can face any blockade or any siege. So he established a house to keep those main crops, to keep some reserve for the ummah. He was the first one to bring the governors to account. He will bring them, and he put a rule, or he started the rule of, where did you get this from? So he will bring his governors to account. When you took over, like you had one house, now you have 10 houses. Where did you get it from? Where did you get this from? And this is now in our countries, unfortunately, in the Muslim countries. This is very, very, very common. Very common. corruption and stealing from the money of the ummah. This is very spread, unfortunately, in our countries. While in non-Muslim countries, you see, they have this rule. They have this rule, right? When someone takes presidency or even a candidate, he has to submit all of his properties, right? All of his positions, so that they later on they see, did he benefit, did he use his power, did he take from the public money or not? Subhanallah, they're following our rules, they're following our akhlaq, and we're abandoning our akhlaq. As our Shaykh radiallahu anhu, may Allah have mercy on him, he said once, I came to America and I saw Islam without Muslims, and in our countries there are Muslims but without Islam. In general, this is really a fact, that they're acting upon many of the characteristics or the akhlaq or the morals of Islam, and we're abandoning many of the characters or the characteristics and the akhlaq and the morals of Islam in our Muslim countries. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us and help us to raise the awareness of Muslims and follow the true Islam, so that we give a good picture about Islam to others. So he brought them to account and investigated about their, if they earned something, they took something from the public money, he will bring them to account. Something special about Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu, he was the first one also to use a dirra. A dirra is a small whip. It's a small whip, it's not like a big whip. He used to use it and to carry it to discipline some people. Some people need discipline. So he used to discipline some people with his dirra radiallahu anhu. And honestly, there are some scholars who wrote a book on this, just the traditions that mention certain stories that Sayyiduna Umar used the dirra. And why I'm mentioning this, of course, we can just read the life of Sayyiduna Umar and all of the Sahaba, just read and go. But the purpose is to take lessons from every aspect. Why? Because this person in particular is Mahdi. You know who's Mahdi, right? We know we have one Mahdi, but as a description, Mahdi means guided. Sayyiduna Umar is of the Mahdis or the Mahdiyin, as Rasulullah said sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, stick to my sunnah, stick to my way and the way of the khulafa, the caliphs, al-rashideen, the rightly guided, al-mahdiyin min ba'di, those who come after me. Sayyiduna Umar is one of them. So his way of governance, his way of leading the ummah is one that should be followed and we can take lessons from. So one of those stories, and of course Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu, as Shifa bint Abdullah, she mentioned about him, he said, by Allah, he was, when he speaks, he will make people hear. إِذَا تَكَلَّمَ أَسْمَعْ وَإِذَا مَشَى أَسْرَعْ وَإِذَا ضَرَبَ أَوْجَعْ هُوَ وَاللَّهِ النَّاسِكُ حَقًّا. When he speaks, he makes people hear him well. And when he walks, he's fast. And when he beats, he will hurt. And his beating is painful. He is truly the believer and the one who doesn't have any love for this world in his heart. That is one of the testimonies of those people who met Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu. Sayyiduna Umar says once, as in the Musannaf of Abdul Razzaq, rahimahullah, from Abu Abdurrahman al-Sulami radiallahu anhu, one of the great reciters of the Quran, through whom we get the narration of Hafs that most Muslims recite with. He says, Umar said one time, لا يدخل رجل على مغيبة. No man should enter the house of a woman who's by herself. Then a man said, I have a brother or a cousin and he's in jihad and he told me to enter the house of his family. He said, then Sayyiduna Umar, he beat him with his dirra, right away. He whipped him. Of course, this whipping or this beating is not, the scholars talk about this, of course, in details, so that people don't misunderstand. This is a small whip just to discipline. It doesn't break bone. it doesn't make a wound, and even with these conditions, he doesn't beat on the face or on the head in a place where it might be fatal, right? So it is just a discipline, so that the person just sometimes needs this so that he wakes up and realizes what he's doing. And it should not be more than 10 times also, because that is only for the hudud, the penal or the crimes that are mentioned in the Islamic law. They have specific punishments. So any discipline should not be above 10 beats, as the Prophet said sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the authentic hadith. So Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu is saying no one should enter the house of a woman who is by herself. Then he said, oh, my cousin told me. Then he beat him. He said, here you go. Don't go inside, just stand at the door and ask them if they need anything. Okay, so it's simple. You don't have to go inside, right? So such people, they need really to just wake them up. What are you saying? Why you need to get inside? This is khalwa. Of course, this is seclusion. You cannot go inside, right? Even if he's your brother, of course. Even if he's your brother, it's more serious, right? We know the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he said, "Iyyakum ad-dukhul ala nisa," beware of mixing with women. Then they said, Ya Rasulullah, what about my relatives, like my cousin's relatives, my brother's wife, my cousin's wife? He said, Alhamul maut, that is death. Those in-laws are death, means they might lead you to your destruction, because there's more possibility to mix with them, so you have to avoid this. Now, unfortunately, some Muslim men and women, what can we say? Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. He puts his wife's picture on Facebook. He puts his daughter's picture on Facebook. She, our respected Muslim sister, she puts her picture on WhatsApp, on Facebook, no hijab, nothing. Subhanallah. Is this Islam? Is this the education of the Muslim Ummah? Subhanallah. Some Muslims, they mix men and women together. Well, this is not Islam. These are not the characteristics of the Muslims. These are not the akhlaq of the Muslims. So some people, they need the dirra of Sayyidina Umar, some people say. Ibn Sirin radiallahu anhu, he says that Sayyidina Umar saw a man pulling a sheep to slaughter the sheep. He's pulling it harshly. So he beat him radiallahu anhu. He said, what are you doing? Be kind with it. Take it to death kindly. Subhanallah. This is narrated by Imam Bayhaqi. So even though he's like strict, some people say harsh, but this is an impolite word to say about a Sahabi, in my opinion. It's very impolite, in my opinion. We say strict, yet look at his mercy, look at his softness of the heart, radiallahu anhu. Even with the sheep, he said, What are you doing? Take it to death kindly, gently. And this is the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, right? Sallallahu alayhi ya Sayyidi ya Rasulullah. In Imam al-Bukhari narrates, and as you can see, brothers and sisters, these traditions are narrated by the Sahaba, by the Muhaddithin, by the people of Hadith. This is where we take our religion from Quran and Hadith. So they're mentioning these traditions because they have very important lessons. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Surah An-Nur, Ayah 33, chapter 24, وَالَّذِينَ يَبْتَغُونَ الْكِتَابَ مِمَّا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ فَكَاتِبُوهُمْ إِنْ عَلِمْتُمْ فِيهِمْ خَيْرًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, those slaves who want to buy their freedom from their masters, means they want to work, then get some money, then pay that money to their master so that they can be free. Allah is saying, subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course slavery was spread there, and Islam came. One of the purposes Islam aimed at in this issue is to finish off slavery completely. And this is why you see in the Quran and Sunnah so many penances or kaffarat. If you want Allah to forgive you, you have to free a slave. If you swear, for example, to do something, right? And you did not do it, what do you do? What do you do? If someone swears, by Allah, I'm gonna do this, and he didn't do, what does he do?
Let me see. Yeah, he got three things. Either he can just feed 10 people, or give him clothes, or release one slave.
Exactly, barakallah feek. So he has to feed 10 masakin, or bring them clothes, or free a slave. So that Allah was, if you want Allah to forgive you, you have to do either of this. If you cannot, then you can fast 3 days. But some Muslim now right away, I'm gonna fast 3 days. Wait. You cannot fast 3 days right away. First you have to feed. If you cannot feed 10 masakin, then you can fast. You cannot feed them and you cannot give them clothes, then you can fast. It's not optional to choose between these four. No. So this is just one example. There are many examples in the Quran. The point is, Islam, one of the purposes of Islam is to free slaves. This ayah is another example that if, of course, Islam did this gradually. This is the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Did not do it right away, because if it happened right away, it would have corrupted the society, and there would have been revolution and tribulations between these two classes, if you will, in the society. So Islam did it gradually until, alhamdulillah, it completely finished. And now those so-called Muslims who claim that they're enslaving girls and they're fighting and they have no relation to Islam in any way or by any means. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to get rid of them and help Muslims to get rid of them or to guide them. Imam al-Bukhari narrates that someone called Sirin, he was a slave to Sayyiduna Anas radiallahu anhu, and he asked Sayyiduna Anas to buy his freedom. And Sayyidina Anas did not accept, he did not want. Then this person came to Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu, because Allah is saying, those who seek to buy their freedom from among your slaves, give them, make a contract with them and give them their freedom and let them pay you if you think they're good. And also look at this amazing ayah. Then Allah says, وَآتُوهُم مِّن مَّالِ اللَّهِ الَّذِي آتَاكُمْ. Also, not only accept, you should not only accept to give him his freedom for some money. You should not only give him his freedom for some money, and you should not only accept this, you should also give him some of the money Allah has given you. Means you help him. And the scholars, the fuqaha, they talk about this. They said, like, you agree, for example, on 1,000, and he starts paying you payments, of course, whenever he works and he saves some money, then he pays you. Then they said, you forgive him like for quarter of the amount or third of the amount. So the scholars talk about this because this is what Allah is commanding, right? So this person came to Sayyiduna Umar. He said, I want to buy my freedom from Anas. He did not accept. And Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu right away, this is in Bukhari, Sahih Bukhari, he got his dirra and he raised his whip. He said, didn't Allah say, فَكَاتِبُوهُمْ إِنْ عَلِمْتُمْ فِيهِمْ خَيْرًا? He said, yes. Okay. Maybe Sayyidina Anas forgot or he thought. Now some scholars, they say it was optional, it was just encouragement. So Sayyidina Anas, maybe he thought it's just encouragement. But Sayyidina Umar told him, no, you have to accept. So he accepted. So that is another great example from Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu. One last example we find in Kanz al-Ummal, that Sayyiduna Umar saw a person, he was in the market. This person, when he saw Sayyidina Umar, he said, this is the best of the ummah after the Prophet. This is the best person. You know, some people, they just want to get money or so they just praise someone and they put him above everyone. So this is a type of person. He said, this is the best of the ummah after the Prophet. He said, Sayyidina Umar right away, he beat him. He said, you are liar. By Allah, Abu Bakr is better than me and my father and you and your father. What are you saying? Should not, what do they call this? Flattering? Flattering, right? Flattering. You should not, you should say the truth, not you say someone just something about someone which is not true just to please him and make him, no, you should be truthful. He said, no. Also, Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu, with all this, as we mentioned, he was very soft-hearted radiallahu anhu. Someone came to him, he was relieving himself near a tree radiallahu anhu, and the person started calling him and calling him. So Sayyidina Umar, he saw that Sayyidina Umar is relieving himself, he is answering the call of nature. So this person did not even want to wait. So Sayyidina Umar, when he came, he beat him. He said, did not you see me? He said, you have been hasty on me. Then Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, he gave him the whip and he told him, take your right. I whipped you, you whip me back. So he's afraid from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he did that wrong. So also it shows that he's not using it just wronging others. No, those who need discipline, he will discipline them. But here it seems it's something personal. So he radiallahu anhu gave him back, he told him, take your right. Then he said, no, I don't want. So he realized he said, no, you have to. He said, no, I have forgiven you. I said, okay. They used to say, in the times of those rulers who came later after the rightly guided Khulafa, some people used to say, by Allah, the dirra of Umar has more awe and respect in the hearts of people than your swords. Because those people, they use the swords and they use power and soldiers and police, right? So they used to say, the dirra of Umar, it has more awe and respect in the hearts of people than your swords. Okay, 2 more minutes. We can just count before we finish and conclude this topic, which is the things that Sayyiduna Umar was the first to do. Of course, Sayyidina Abu Bakr did not have this, so Sayyidina Umar was the first one to use this for disciplining people. As we mentioned, in politics, let's say, or in public policies, he was the first one to be named Amir al-Mu'mineen, the first one to put the history of Muslims, as we mentioned many times. He used to go at night by himself to check on the people. He used to hold annual conferences for the governors and bringing them to account and asking about their affairs. He was the first one to build and command to build some cities in the Muslim state. The first one to command also to pave the ways and organize the roads and streets in the Muslim state. As we mentioned also, he's the first one to bring people together on Taraweeh prayer after the Prophet ﷺ. And he was the first one to expand al-Masjid al-Nabawi. He was the first one to expand al-Masjid al-Nabawi. He was the first one to also make khilafah as consultation in a specific number of people. We'll talk about this when we talk about his death, radiallahu anhu ardah. He make the choosing of the Khalifa by the selection from a group of people. A group of people will sit and have shura and consultation. Of course, this is based on the Quran, but he was the first one to practice this. He expelled the Jews from the Arabian Peninsula, of course, after many treasons they made, and following the command of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he categorized the jizya, the tax on non-Muslims. Of course, non-Muslims in the Muslim country, they pay tax. And Muslims, they pay zakah. And the tax that non-Muslims are supposed to pay in the Muslim land is much less than zakah itself. And for this, they don't have to go to the army, to the military service. So it's not like humiliation to them. No, this is a Muslim state, and the Muslims want the army to be among Muslims. And those people, they don't have to go to the military service. those non-Muslim citizens in the Muslim state, they don't have to go to the military service, so they pay this tax for public services, for so many services, and it's much less than zakah. So, because some non-Muslims, they attack us, they believe that we're wronging, so that doesn't make any sense. Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu, he did not only stick to these conditions in regard with the jizya, the tax on non-Muslim citizens. He made it into categories according to the people. If someone cannot be, as we mentioned, he passed by a non-Muslim citizen, a Christian or a Jew, we mentioned it before, and he found him begging people for money. Then he said, who's this? What is he doing? They said he doesn't have any food. They said he's a Jew. He said, it doesn't matter. By Allah, we have not been fair with him. We used him when he was young, and now we're abandoning him. That's Sayyiduna Umar. That's why we have to be very proud of those great leaders that we have. We have to be very proud of our religion and our tradition. So he made a monthly salary for him so that he doesn't have to go and beg people for food. That is Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu. Those who cannot, as we mentioned, those who are poor from the Christians and Jews who cannot pay, he what do they say? Waived the jizya for them. He forgave them for the jizya. He did not impose it on them. Also, he gave he gave them from the Muslim treasury, as we mentioned. He forbade Muslims to demolish the churches of Christians. Until now in Damascus, if you want, with my own eyes, I was born in Damascus and raised up all of my life in Damascus. We have, at least in Damascus, the ones I saw, I did not see all churches, of course, Damascus is big. The ones I saw, 4 churches that are opposite to a mosque. In 4 places, just in Damascus itself, the ones that I only saw, you find in four places in Damascus, you find a church and a masjid opposite. Same street, almost opposite to each other. Sayyidina Umar did not allow Muslims to demolish the Christians' churches, because Islam allows non-Muslims to live in the Muslim state, not now as these people propagate. He was the first one to make permanent training camps for soldiers in Damascus and Palestine and Jordan, for the Muslim soldiers to be always in, what do they say? Always on task, on duty, right? Always ready, always camps and camps and camps, so that they're always ready. And he imposed the mandatory military service. He put military checkpoints on the borders of the Muslim Ummah. He specified the time that soldiers can be absent from their spouses, from their wives, as we mentioned. He commanded his leaders to present regular reports about the situation, etc. He made salaries. He specified doctors, translators, judges, and guides to be with the army. This is a civilized leadership and administration. This is how now people do, right? But he did it 14 centuries ago, radiallahu anhu arda. This is the guidance of Islam. It's not only about salah and siyam and no. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. So these are the teachings of Islam. He made the stores for the food for the army, opened ministries. He is the first one to start endowments, waqf. Now we know waqf, right? Waqf, you put something and it's just exclusively for the benefit of the Muslims. It cannot be, no one can take it by himself. So Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu was the first one to have these awqaf, and we here in this country, this is extremely, extremely important for us as Muslims. To have our own investments for the masajid, so that we don't have to keep asking and keep having shortage in the budgets, and we have to invest and make awqaf for the masjid. We can have a cafeteria, we can have as a waqf. So people who are responsible for the masajid, they have to have this thinking and this planning to make awqaf for the masajid. In the Muslim countries, in Syria, there's a ministry of, they call it Wazar in Ministry of Endowments, but the states stole most of that. That is, there's still more. We mentioned many of these things. These are some of the things Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu was the first one to start. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with him and shower him with more blessings and help us to follow his footsteps. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also give relief to our brothers and sisters who are suffering everywhere. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring us back to the true teachings of Islam and help us to follow the true teachings of Islam and guide us and make us guides and reminders to others. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد والحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاكم الله.